Hello everyone, today we are finally turning shards into an agent skill. What that means is that we're essentially teaching agents how to use shards to orchestrate other agents and other agent environment, work trees, branches, what have you. So we're basically making the shard skill into an orchestration skill for other agents. If you're new here, some quick context, we're building this for a Kiro hackathon that's running until the 23rd of this month. If you haven't joined yet, it's free to join and you get 2,000 free Kiro credits for this hackathon. I'm doing this also to challenge myself to first learn a new tool, see what is Kiro capable of, because I'm going to be judging in this hackathon, so I need to learn the tool. And we're going to see if Kiro are capable of getting up to the same standard as my current Claude Code system, where I can quite reliably run something like 15 agents in parallel at once. Don't worry if you haven't followed previous episodes, I'll put a link to the playlist up here. But even if you haven't seen them, you can watch each of these episodes individually. But if you want the entire track of how we build shards end to end, you can look at all of them. Shards is a CLI tool that spins up AI agents in isolated environments, so far work trees. So one command essentially creates a branch, a work tree. It launches a terminal by your choice, and it launches an agent by your choice in that terminal, and we're tracking everything that is going on along the way. So far in this series, we have also built a quite decent system around the Kiro CLI that we are using to build shards. So we're also focusing a lot about the processes, the prompts, the agents, the subnets, hooks, what have you, that we're using in our development process. So we're also learning a lot about mindsets and thinking about how to build things using coding agents. So far, we have things like planning commands, planning features, agent swarm for code reviews. We have a Ralph loop system built specifically for the Kiro CLI. So yeah, take a look at the shards directory. Everything is in there if you want to use any of those features or assets for any of your own projects. So today, what we're going to be doing, we have specced out a bunch of new features. We're going to continue planning new features into the CLI. We're talking about the future direction where we're going to take it, some ideas for some new feature. If you want to shape the future of shards, please put your ideas for features into the comments, and I will probably look into incorporate some of them, if I like them, into the CLI itself. So really excited to see if you have some ideas for what shards should be capable of in the future. So today we get a bunch of work trees running in parallel. We're using shards as the orchestrator for all of these different work trees that we're running in parallel and agents that we're running in parallel. So if you want to see how that goes, please look at today's video and also like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos on these topics. So today, of course, we're continuing to build shards. And as those of you who have followed along here knows, the vision for shards is basically that we will have a CLI that is controlled by an agent skill so that we can use our agent as an orchestrator to control all of our shards, meaning our environments for agents where we can run any agents in any coding CLI out in different environments. And we can have an agent orchestrator to run that through a skill, and we will have a GUI dashboard where we can observe everything that is going on. We can potentially fork things, teleport things to different tools, and do a bunch of cool things in the GUI down the line. And then we have the orchestration layer, of course, where we orchestrate our environments. Currently it's work trees, but we might build in containers, VMs, what have you in the future. Of course, terminals is the key here. We are forking out into different terminals, different keys, different agents, we are tracking state, and so on. We will dig into this in a lot more detail when we start to plan out the actual feature for today. So the plan I have for today is that we're going to spec out a whole bunch of new features. Unfortunately, we cannot start building the GUI today either, because we, as you know from yesterday, if you have been following along, we do not have xcode installed. So I'm currently downloading and installing xcode, but it's taking quite a while because I'm very slow internet. So it's going to take a while, and hopefully next week we are ready to do that. Tomorrow there is not going to be a recording because I'm busy all day. And so if you want to maybe have me do some kind of longer form content, maybe like a live stream or something like that, I'm thinking of doing maybe over the weekend or next week, where we can make some more progress on shards and actually build out some more things in a longer form. where maybe you can also come with feature suggestions and stuff like that during the live stream. I think that would be pretty cool. So please let me know in the comments if you would be into something like that. Okay, so just to recap a little bit, our core data model or our core metadata model here that we want to kind of keep throughout is that we have Git as the source of truth, and we are tracking sessions in JSON files at the moment. And today we're going to spec out a bunch of features. So I think I have 8 or 9 new features that I have in my mind that I kind of want to spec out. We're going to use Kiro to do it. We're going to maybe use some with our built planning system, but also maybe we will try the Kiro spec driven system for some of them as well. I haven't fully decided that yet, but I also have some big plans of all the things that we can do in parallel. And yeah, so I think that we will be able to do something like, so we will be able to basically run 4, maybe 5 things in parallel. Let's see. But what we will start to enable us to do this is that we're going to turn shards now into a skill. I'm going to try to use the Kiro CLI to do this, but I might jump over to Claude Code because I know that Claude Code will be able to create a skill for itself. But we can first start with Kiro and see what it does. So we're just going to launch up Kiro here inside of our shards directory. And what we're going to do, we're just going to ask it to please read the key files in this directory in the source. Also read the README. I want you to get a deep understanding of each currently implemented CLI command, how they work, what they do, and what they are good for. So what I'm doing here right now, I'm just priming our agent to kind of get a deep understanding about what the application is, what our options are for the CLI commands, because what we want to do, of course, is that we want to create this skill and teach essentially our agent how to run it on demand. Okay, so our agent is primed and ready. I'm just going to read it through to make sure that it actually has the correct understanding. It looks good so far on the create command. List looks good. Destroy looks good. The status command looks good. Cleanup looks good as well. Okay, perfect. So it looks like it has pretty good understanding of everything. So what we want to do here, I'm going to look into just Kiro powers docs. We actually don't want to turn it into a Kiro power just yet, but I'm going to just go in there and we're going to go to Claude Code skills. And I'm going to copy this page. I'm going to use that as context for Kiro. And we're going to say here right now, I want you to please read this documentation. So while we're creating this skill, another thing that we're going to do during this is that we are going to expand our current documentation agent a little bit. We actually don't have a documentation agent yet. So that's great. We're going to create a documentation agent. The idea about this documentation agent is that it should, at each PR, whenever we do a review, the documentation agent should look through our agents.md. It should look through our steering docs. And it should also now, after the skill is created, look through our skills.md to update those files as we add new capabilities and new features into shards. Yes, so what I would like you to do, I want you to create a new skill in there called the Shards skill. And all I want to really create in there is meta instruction for AI agents, how to use the Shards CLI and all of its current capabilities. Okay, great. So that is currently building what we have there right now. So if you have been following along as well, you already know that I have currently a worktree manager skill. So this is basically shards, right? But instead of it being a CLI and having good tracking, it's just a grouping of shell scripts that is doing essentially the same things as our current state of shards is doing. But what we're doing now is that we're going to turn shards into a CLI that you can install on your system. And then you can install the shard skill to your system as well as a Claude Code skill. I think all of these agents are going to be adopting skills soon enough. So we are going to be able to use it with any coding agent. And it's really going to help you manage your environments and track everything. And it will basically turn whichever agents you have to use this skill into an orchestrator that will orchestrate your environments, that will orchestrate your shards and everything that is going on inside of them as well, because we'll build some more tracking systems into there as well that will help us with that. So we have our skills.md. That's great. I'm gonna just leave it like that for now. I'm gonna just say, can you please commit and push .md straight to main? So with the markdown files, I'm not too worried about pushing it to main right away, so we can just do that. And now we're gonna move straight into updating our review flow. So we have a prompt, and that prompt is code review. It triggers the code review swarm. So we have a code reviewer, we have a comment analyzer, we have an error hunter, we have a test analyzer, and a type analyzer that all runs in parallel when we kick off our code reviews on PRs. And what we want to do here, really, we just want to add one more agent, and that agent will be our document updater or document analyzer, I think it's going to be. So I'm just going to give Kiro here these files. So I'm going to say, please read and understand our current review swarm system. I'm going to say here, you must read all of these files. So we're going to continue in the same context window here because it has pretty good context about the skill. I'm just going to copy some relative paths here to this error hunter, test analyzer, and type analyzer. Perfect. So now I want us to create another agent for the system that should also be invoked by this code review prompt or command. It's important that this one is invoked every time we run the system. What this guy is going to do is he's going to go in and he's going to read all of our existing doc files. That's, of course, not all of our markdown files. Going to analyze the files in steering. He's going to analyze our current agents.md or claude.md or any similar rule file that we might have. And it's also going to read and understand this skill.md that we just created. What it's going to do is it's going to check the current PR implementation, and it's going to update our docs so that our docs are always up to date, especially if capabilities change and things change in how the CLI works and stuff like that, commands change. It needs to be really focused on updating the skill.md, updating the Claude.md and agents.md, but also the steering documentation is important to keep updated. So please follow the practices from the existing prompts in the existing agents and create a new agent. We can call it a document updater or something like that. Okay, so I think that is good to go. We're going to run that. We're going to commit that as well. And then we're going to start using our Shards skill, and we're going to try to use it with Kiro CLI. If you followed along on previous videos as well, you'll know that the Kiro CLI actually do not support skills, but we can kind of shoehorn the skill in to be used by Kiro by just telling it to read the skill.md and use it. So that's how you can actually use it with any coding agent at the moment. Like skills is just a markdown file that is linking to different usage patterns of other type of files, CLIs, scripts, what have you. So it's very easy to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to see if we have Sonnet as the main model on all of these. We're doing that also for cost efficiency. Probably I would want to use Opus for some of these, but we're trying to keep also cost a bit low here. We have a limited amount of tokens in Kiro. I'm going to see here. It also updates the code review command. Perfect. So it got that pretty good. Seems like it's done a pretty good job here. I haven't read the prompt, of course. I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to test it and see. This doc updater. So to me, the prompt seems pretty short, not that detailed. So when Claude Code creates prompts for itself, it's very detailed, it sometimes over specifies. But the Kiro CLI or the Kiro agent seems to under specify a lot. It takes the lazy route a little bit. But yeah, we're still going to test it. And I think it already actually committed and pushed as well. Okay, that's fine. Okay, great. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take our worktree manager skill and we are going to cut that out. I'm going to move it into agent. So I'm just going to put it in here right now instead of having it in. I made some more changes. Please commit and push that as well. So I'm just moving it out of our Claude directory so that we only have the shard skill there now being loaded. Okay, great. Okay, so it has all been pushed. We have moved the worktree manager skill. So what we should do here now is we want to quit out and clear, and let's open up Kiro again. So what we've done so far, we have created a skill that should be able to use our Shards CLI. we have created a doc updater that should be able to help us keep our docs up to date. I'm just going to see here, we have right now actually 4 open issues. So all of these are actually implemented already. So I'm just going to do this actually, also using Kiro. I'm just going to tell it, can you please take a look at our merge history and our open issues? We actually merged in PRs for 3 of those issues. So please take a look at that. Or I think we did at least make sure. I think that we can close some of those issues. Yeah, I think we actually implemented all of those 3, but we maybe didn't. Okay, it's actually only one of them. Yeah, close issue number 5. Okay, so we're gonna keep those open then, that's fine. But what we're going to do now is we are going to tell Kiro to read this. Okay, now please read this file and fully understand how to use the skill and the CLI. We're going to start planning out 3 new features. We are going to plan out a feature that we can call Shards health check. We are going to plan out one more feature that we can call Shards PR status, and another one that we can call Shards context. Okay, we're actually going to add one fourth here as well. For dot, we are also going to add here one feature that we call Shards restart. Okay, I think that's it for our first batch of parallel. We're going to go with 4 again here. So what I'm going to say here, now use the Shard CLI to launch 4 terminals, start Kiro chat with the trust all flag. So Kiro trust all flag so that we can skip permissions and launch it in all 4 worktrees. So let's see if the skill works. I'm not sure actually that it will work with the flag, like the skip permission trust all flag. Let's see. Okay, it should maybe work. Okay, so it ran into a lot of issues. Okay, so our terminals didn't actually start. So I think that there is some bugs. You obviously run into a lot of issues as well as you were running this command. So there is a lot of, that tells me that there are some missing features here, especially in our launch commands. Something that is definitely missing is the flag. Like we want to be able to start it with this trust all tools or dangerously skip permissions and so on. We also might have the wrong default launch options as well. We should look into that. I think Kiro uses Kiro-CLI space chat than the flag, for example. I want you to explain all the issues that you ran into for me. I also see that we have a bunch of things, a bunch of open work trees that we did not clean up from our testing we did yesterday. So I did a lot of testing on Shards yesterday, and it seems like we have a lot of no PID processes, and all of those we can clean up. We look in the Shards config. Okay, so we found some issues here. So we want the proper implementation for the flag parsing issue. We want to set the flag in our config. So we should create a GitHub issue for that. We should also make sure that we track this critical bug here for the wrong process tracking. We should also add the command field bug and terminals not accurately launching. We need to look into. That was working perfectly well yesterday. So I think it has to do with the flag, the trust all tools flag, but you can confirm that. And we should also fix, so we should create a GitHub issue for the cleanup didn't catch old sessions issue as well. So we can see here that we actually had terminals started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terminals. So we have a test terminal here. Also, a feature that we probably want to add here, like we probably don't want to launch these in individual terminals. We rather probably launch them in tabs of our terminal. I also ideally want to launch them in Ghosty for myself. So we're also going to add support for Ghosty soon enough. But yeah, let's let this run. I'm just going to tell it here as well that the terminals actually opened correctly and it's running in the trust mode. So it all kind of worked. I want to add some more context around the terminal launch issue. So the terminals actually did launch. So that worked. They actually launched in the correct bypass permission mode as well with the trust all flag. But one thing that did happen is I had one empty terminal that didn't have any agent running in it. So basically, I guess what's happening is that when we first launch iTerm, it kind of launches a terminal and then we start launching actual terminals. I don't know, something is happening there, but terminal launches actually work. So issue 16 there is a little bit wrong at this point. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna just minimize this. So we have now 1, 2, 3, 4 different terminals. We're gonna work on one at a time. So we have our start, we have our context, we have our health check, and we have our PR status. So I'm going to start with the health check. That's like the easiest one to explain. So I'm just going to bring that out here so we can see it properly. So what I am going to start planning here is a health check command. I'm just going to open this briefly to see what our planning command was. We can just take a look here in prompts. It's this one. Create plan is the one we want to use. So I'm going to do add create plan. I'm going to do this in all of them. So we're going to create plans here for all of them. So here I'm just going to brain dump now into first the health check. Let's see. We want a new CLI command that we're going to call health. What it should do is basically it's a quick health check across all of our agents. So it's basically, let's say, a dashboard view, but for the CLI. So we want it formatted in the CLI. So we want to be able to do shards health. That should show all the current shards, and it should track like current projects and whatnot. Be able to run shards health name to get specific shard details for that shard name. I don't think we're tracking a name right now, so we want to think about that as well. If we're tracking that probably by branch, we want to use Git here probably as the source of truth. And we want to be able to flag shards health all to see all projects, shards health JSON to get it in a format, and shards health watch to have this continuous refresh that we can refresh every, let's say, 2 or 5 seconds. You can decide yourself, but we leave the watch command for later. Metadata that we want here, we want name identifier. So I don't know what the identifier should be here, if it should be some kind of unique ID, a hash, something from Git. I don't know. I'll let you decide. We want to be able to track project. So which repo are we building in? That is the source of truth, of course. Then we want to have the branch and the Git worktree. The agent. So is it Kiro running in there? Is it Claude Code running in there? And so on. Which agent is running? The status, so the process state. Is it currently working? Is it idle? Is it stuck? Has it crashed? We want to see maybe CPU usage. So is there high usage spikes, for example? And also, when was the last activity in this terminal or in this shard? So we want to have a timestamp there when the last either user input or agent output was. We also want to add here some logic for the status or the working and idle and stuff like that. Working means that the process is running. Idle means that the process is running, but since last timestamp, there has been a certain amount of time. So let's put that maybe to, I'm going to go with 10 minutes because some of our processes are quite long. If it's stuck, we want to get a warning. If it was like mid-process and we expected something more to happen and it's been idle for more than 10 minutes, but it was like in the middle of doing something, how we want to track that is that the user sent the last message. We can do that quite simply for now. And also if it has crashed, if it has been some kind of errors in there or something, it should build on the existing PID tracking system that we already have. And it should use system info for CPU and memory usage as needed. And we want to track here last activity, of course. So we want to also log this properly. And the JSON output is crucial for when we also build a UI later on to consume this. So we want to pay a lot of attention to the JSON implementation here as well. But yeah, I think that is it. Quite a long description. So this is how I generally like to plan my things. I like to brain dump quite a lot. Like I like to think about, so I have been thinking about these features since yesterday, basically. So no, I have a pretty good idea in my head, like what I want them to be like. I also wrote some of it down in a notes app. So as I was thinking about it, I wrote some stuff down. So that's basically where this comes from. But I'm going to start planning that out. Let's create that plan. Then this one was, we're going to see what the next feature we want to plan out is. The next one that we want to plan is restart. So I'm just going to bring this over to the big window. So the idea behind this one is that we want to have a restart process to kill the agent process and restart without destroying the work tree. So basically like a reset command, you could say. So we want to build a shards restart command for the CLI. So what it should do, it should kill an agent process and restart without destroying the work tree. So we want to basically quit and restart the agent inside of the work tree. It should be pretty simple. Some of these agents also has these like clear commands, but we don't do that right now. We rather we find the specific exit command for the CLI that we're using. For example, Claude Code has exit, Kiro has /quit. I think we can use that. If there's a better way, maybe we can just kill the session somehow. Maybe that's better. I'll leave that up to you to decide and research the best option there. And then we want to be able to like restart. So we want to have shards restart and the name of the shard. I think we are using branch names here for those names, but we might want to change that in the future. Not right now. We are building another PR here that's going to relate to this. So we want to update that maybe when we create the PR later. We want to have, and what that should do, like the shards restart name should restart the agent with the config that we have in our shards config. But we want to have overrides here. So we want to have shards restart name dash reset. And we want to reset the branch to base first. Then we want to have shards restart name dash agent and then define the agent. What this should do, it should restart the shard with a different agent configuration. So instead of using the same as the previous one, we want to like you restart inside of the worktree, but with a different agent. So the metadata needed here is of course the session info to what to restart with if we want to, what we were running and what we want to run later. The original agent commands, I think we have those currently. I don't know if we have them hard-coded anywhere or if they're just in the config, but we should have these options as literals somewhere as well. Probably by user configuration, so maybe they should come from the config somehow, but they should be like optional. We want to have the worktree path to launch in the correct directory, of course, as well. So the behavior we want here is we want to find session by the name. We want to kill the process like with the existing destroy logic that we already have, but we don't want to remove the work tree. Optionally, we want to git reset hard on origin main as well, but I don't think we need that hard, as I said before. Let's not do that. So relaunch the terminal with the new agent, and we want to update the session with the new PID. That should be the main of it. And also when we have the UI in the future, we will have basically a direct restart button. This should support as well. So yeah, I think that's it. Let's start planning. Okay, we have 2 running. Next one is context. I'm gonna bring that over to the big window. Or actually, let's do status first. I think that is better to do first. So the one thing that we probably should have done, like we should have built the health command first, because of course we're using some things here. For example, the name, like we would want to know what the naming is, how we should use the name for tracking. But I think we use branch names and projects for now. I think we might have conflicts there, but we'll refactor that later after the health check thing is implemented if we need to. So I'm not too worried, but let's do the PR status now. So what I'm going to do actually before, I'm going to start this implementation. So we can do that, of course, since we have this plan already done. Our health check command plan is done. I'm not going to review it. I'm just going to trust that it did it. We're going to review it when it's done. So we're going to automate this process as well later. /clear. And I'm going to do at, I think it's implement. I'm going to have to check if it's implement plan or execute plan, because I think that it should be implement plan. At implement dash plan. There we go. I just misspelled it. Here's the plan file. So what I would actually maybe like to do here. So this is actually a nice feature that I'm thinking of right now that we want to have. Be able to open these easily as well. Maybe we want shards to handle that too. Because I want to right now maybe open this plan file and it's inside of a work tree. So I would have to remember the path to my work tree and so on. So it's a bit complicated to do that. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about that right now, but I'm going to write it down because I think that's going to be a feature that I'm going to want to implement later on. But what we're going to do here is take the plan, and we're going to say here, and we're going to give it a plan. And now we're going to do the next feature here, and that's going to be PR status. So what are we going to say here? For this feature, what we're doing is we want to show GitHub PR status for each shards branch. So basically it's going to add PR tracking if a shard has an issue or a PR open related to it in GitHub. So we want to be able to run shards PR status to see all shards in the current project that has PRs, shards PR status name to get a specific shard, shards PR status JSON to get JSON open to open it, so on. Then we want to have the metadata to display here. Yeah, I realize I can't actually do this one until the health check one is done, because the health check one takes care of all the metadata. So I'm actually gonna wait with this one probably until tomorrow. Not even until tomorrow, but until the next, some of the next sessions that we will have here. One feature that we will also need, that I'm realizing right now, is that we will need to have a way to, as we are working inside of a shard, we want to have, maybe we want to set like a base branch. So maybe we want to set like main or develop or staging or whatever we want to have as a base branch. And we want to listen for when that base branch gets a merge. And then we want to rebase all of our worktree branches. I think we will want that. I'm not sure. What do you think? Comment down below if you think that's a feature that we will want. But I do believe that would be pretty useful. But yeah, at the moment, we are implementing 2 features in parallel. I'm not going to do much more today, since I do have to wait for that health check with all of our metadata thing is going on. So we will wait for that before we start building, because for the next context one as well, we need the metadata to track the context. And yeah, we also maybe need to solve some of those issues. So what we could do instead here is I want to close this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to actually just do it from shards, worktrees, shards, PR status. Okay, there it is. I'm going to close it. Let's open this one again. And I'm going to say, so I decided to not build this feature right now. So can you please clean up this work tree? We don't need it right now. You can just clean up everything related to this work tree. Please also do the same for this one. And what I'm going to do instead, now I'd like you to take a look at those issues that we create, 4 or 5 issues. And I want you to create work trees for all of those issues. So here we have some more work trees opening. We are getting a lot of things here. So I'm just going to open my Kiro again just to check what our command was called. We should have investigate issue. Yeah, that's the command we want to use. I'm going to just close it out. So issue 12, so I'm going to investigate issue. I'm going to copy that because we're going to do the same in all of them again. Done. So we're just going to say here, this was number 12, and that. This was number 13. This is number 14, most likely. 14, 15, and 16. Just making sure. 16. Okay, so what we're doing right now, we're running a root cause analysis on all of these issues. So that's pretty neat. So we're going to be able to do that investigation. I'm going to look into if we can automate this in GitHub somehow. So Kiro doesn't really have any way for us to invoke these workflows directly inside of GitHub. So we might want to bring in my other solution that I'm using for Claude Code. So let me know if you want to see that, which is basically going to fully automate everything here inside of GitHub. So we don't actually need all of these terminals open, but just run everything straight out of GitHub. That's pretty neat. But yeah, let's take here and let's just tell it here to please create the PR. It's testing. Yeah. Test branch. Okay, so it's just testing here. So I'm going to tell this guy, please create a PR for this. Okay, so we're all done here. I'm going to end it for today here. We are doing a bunch of things here in parallel. We're investigating issues. We are building 2 features. We are going to continue to plan out more features. I have about 9 CLI features that I want to build that are going to play in really nicely into how the GUI is going to work. I'm just going to tease them a little bit here. So what actually those features are going to be, I'm just going to list them for you here. Not going to go into too much detail. Let me know if you want to know more, or just follow along for the next episode where we actually build it out. We're going to have the health check that we planned out today. We're going to have a restart that we also planned out today. We have a PR status and a context that we were trying to start today, but we're actually going to need the metadata there. We're going to have a logs, so we're going to log everything that is happening inside of a terminal. We may need to use the JSON-B logs out of Claude Code and some of those internal logging systems that terminals already have, or agents already have, so we're going to look into that. We are going to look into how we can attach, so say that we are running Claude Code in another terminal. We have worktrees stored somewhere else in our system. We want to attach them to shards so we can track everything in shards. So we're going to think about that feature a little bit, and we're going to have a broadcast feature that is going to be really key into how we broadcast things into the UI later. And we're going to have a queue as well, so queue flow, which is also going to be nice if we run hundreds of terminals, for example. We want to queue them up. And the idea there is that we also have a smart queuing system that actually, so we can truly orchestrate, meaning that we can use our orchestrator agent. That orchestrator agent can decide on the queue order based on the features that we're going to build and what order makes the most sense, both for merging and for conflicts and for all of these things. So basically a dependency management queue that I also want to build in. That's a little bit more of an advanced feature, so I'm really excited about that one. Actually, I think it's going to be really useful. But yeah, follow along for more episodes. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again on Monday.